Welcome to Around the Weird. Here's your host, the museum curator of the strange and unusual, Mr. Nothing.
Thank you, mysterious voice, and welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I have found in my travels. Today it is Short Story Tuesday, so I want to talk about a short story that has really spoken to me as of late. One that is about a taboo relationship between two young girls. I am referring to Jambula Tree by Monica Arac de Nyeko, which was published sometime between 2007 and 2013. For those who don't know, Monica Arac de Nyeko is a Ugandan author. She got her work published in the early 2000s, and I think the last one that I can find about her where she got something published was sometime around 2013. But I haven't found any news about Monica recently. I do know that there was a Kenyan movie made. I forget the name. I'm going to put it up here. But it has some of the same characters, and it's based on the same ideas. And it was kind of banned in Kenya for violating the homosexuality laws there. And so Monica frequently talks about LGBTQ things and also women, especially in her native Uganda, just noting some of the social issues that persist there. I don't really know too much else about Monica, as there hasn't been a lot of information as of late. It doesn't seem that she published anything recently, or it could be that no one is really updating the list of things that she has gotten published. But I'm going to be on the lookout for more stuff because her writing is pretty quality here. So without further ado, let's talk about Jambula Tree. I'll do a summary, a little bit of analysis, and we will move on from there. So Jambula Tree focuses on the character of Anyango as they're recalling the events that happened with a friend named Sanyu. Anyango learns that Sanyu is returning from London after seemingly being personally exiled from the community for reasons that are unknown, but have something to do with Mama Atim, the local community gossip. Both Anyango and Sanyu seem to have disdain for Mama Atim because of what happened, but also because she's the local gossip, and she's somewhat of a hypocrite, enforcing standards on others that her family doesn't even live up to, and also terrorizing her because she seems to be afraid of the local soldiers, for reasons that I suspect are pretty heinous. But the children just poke fun at her for that, which seems, again, not very good. And Anyango and Sanyu, both when they were young, lived in Nakawa housing estates, which seems to be where the lower class people in this particular town live. As Anyango's family, like her mother or her father, seems to have absconded with someone who was younger than her mother, and so it's a single parent, low class household where things are tough. Whereas Sanyu's family seems to have money. Anyango's mom even notes, like, what are they doing living here, since they're government workers and they make more money elsewhere. Anyango even seems to do housework for Sanyu's family, which is a very strange sort of thing to happen given the other events of the story. And also Sanyu's parents want to feed Anyango, but her mom has told her, that's a shameful thing to do. So just come home and eat whenever possible. And Sanyu and Anyango seem to have a very firm relationship, especially because Sanyu defends Anyango from local bullies. Why are they bullying Anyango? It appears that it has something to do with the friendship between Sanyu and Anyango, although it is not explicitly specified. The parents seem to have some suspicions when they find out that Sanyu beat up this boy for Anyango, but they don't really know what exactly is happening. They just say, oh, you two can't hang out anymore. But they quickly forget, and Anyango and Sanyu begin hanging out again, even attempting to go to the same secondary schools. But unfortunately, Sanyu gets into her first choice, where Anyango gets into her third choice. And that does seem to have something to do with money as well. They seem to miss each other, and during one night in front of the Jambula tree, Anyango and Sanyu get intimate, feeling each other up, and comparing, like Anyango compares it to the fruit of the Jambula tree in particular. I think it's just kissing and feeling each other up, but something more might be happening behind the scenes. But unfortunately, Mama Atem catches them. She shines her torch outside her house because they seem to be kissing in front of her house, which is very weird, but very in line with the silliness of teenagers sometimes. And presumably, Mama Atem tells the entire neighborhood, which brings great shame and stigma upon both families. And Sanyu is sent by her parents to go live in London, presumably for everyone to forget, and for her to marry a man in the hopes that this will change her in that regard. But Sanyu continues to write Anyango letters saying that she misses her. And as the story comes to a close, Anyango notes that she's going to be waiting for Sanyu when she returns. And she's also become a nurse, and she works nights, so they might have a chance to be near the Jambula tree again. So there is a little bit of hope here, and that's where the story ends there. In terms of analysis, there is a fair bit to talk about with a Jambula tree. Like the main idea that Arac de Nyeko is writing about here is stigma in terms of homosexuality and the LGBTQ individuals. Like Anyango and Sanyu's relationship, especially their lesbian relationship, is taboo or specifically illegal in Uganda. I know that there were some laws in the past that got repealed, but now there is a firmer law that is being presented by the Uganda government that is specifically anti-LGBT, in that it sets aside death punishments, or like death for people who are caught in LGBT relationships. Kind of pretty harsh. So, at the time this was written, though, I don't think there were death sentences, but now there are. So, this makes it especially troubling, and why the parents would want to hide it and make sure that no one finds out about it. But you can see the stigma in other ways in this story. I think the other kids in the high school can kind of sense that there's something different going on between Anyango and Sanyu. And so there's bullying from the other kids, and Sanyu has to protect Anyango from that bullying, which probably doesn't, deny that something is going on between them. And he's probably only going to make the kids, want to bully them a little bit more, because it just confirms their suspicions. There's also shame from the parents and the community at large, because when they sense that even something is off between these two girls, they don't want to voice it out loud, and they want to stop it before it goes anywhere. They're just like, oh, you can't be friends. But it's something that's not probably not on their mind, and they stop thinking about it immediately, and so that allows them to just come back together, maybe hide their friendship from the outlying community, and develop it a little bit further. There's an interesting quote that gets at this shame there. "You were not shocked, not repelled. It did not occur to either of us, to you or me, that these were boundaries we should not cross or should think of crossing. Your Jambulas and mine, 2 + 2 Jambulas = 4 Jambulas. Even numbers should stand for luck. Was this luck pulling us together? You pulled me to yourself, and we rolled down the brown earth that stuck to our hair and its redness and dustiness." And there you see the sense of shame that they don't really feel, that this community has sort of, and this entire country sort of put out there, that if you're in this LGBT relationship, you should hide it, or that it's wrong, and that you should not be in one, and that you should end it as soon as possible. And these girls don't seem to feel that, but those are the messages that the community is sending out. But what's also interesting is that the love here seems to be like the forbidden fruit, like a forbidden fruit from the Jambula tree, especially as Anyango compares Sanyu's breast to Jambula's, which is very silly, but it does sort of have like a biblical feeling to it, which might make this story even more stigmatized, because you're comparing it to the Eden of the Bible with the forbidden fruit, and that by eating it, you're bound to get in a little bit of trouble. However, what's interesting to note also is that this love persists regardless of the efforts to separate. That even though you've sent Sanyu to London, that hasn't ended the homosexual feelings. That hasn't ended her identity and forced her to become straight or anything like that. You've just prevented any connection from happening, which makes these two people very sad, and it's unfortunate. Which is a very important message to send out there. Like, you cannot stop people from being gay or homosexual or lesbian or whatever word that you want to use. Like, all you can do is just kill them or fight them or something like that, and say that's wrong or whatnot. But at that point, you're just killing community members, people that you've loved at one point, but now you're saying you don't. And it's important to understand the social circumstances of where the Jambula tree takes place. How Uganda is becoming a very anti-LGBT place, going so far as to create a law that might sentence people who are LGBT to death for being that way or for being public about who they are. What's of particular note is that the people who are behind the bill, like some of the sponsors, are actually American sort of religious lobby groups, like the National Prayer Breakfast or something like that. They're basically funding the bill to go through so that they can make the world a little bit less hospitable to LGBT people, hoping to maybe not kill those people, but to silence them and make it so that they don't have to see people who are loudly gay or outspoken. And there is a sense of hypocrisy here, as they note for Mama Atem. Like, she preaches, this what is it? She preaches, for people to be, good and not engage in taboos or behavior that is undesirable in the community. But her children are having sex outside of marriage. There are people cheating on each other and leaving, but none of that is criticized or anything like that. It's specifically the LGBT individuals who are being criticized. So there's a double standard for people who aren't like people like Anyango or Sanyu there. De Nyeko also seems to be talking about class here, because Anyango and Sanyu both come from different social backgrounds. Anyango comes from a single parent family, and there's a whole bunch of struggles with wealth or with money and whatnot. Like her family can barely afford to keep her in school, so she's having a lot of trouble because of that element of money. She's a bit of a lower class family, and the Nakawa housing estates, they especially catered to people who are lower class. Whereas Sanyu's family comes from the government. They work for the government. They have a little bit more money, and they even have food to spare that they're always offering to Anyango. And so that's really interesting, because they too live in Nakawa estates, and Anyango's mom is like, why are they living here? They could very easily afford to live in a more wealthy neighborhood. So again, making a little bit of a commentary on class there. And so what's interesting about bringing up class is that this could actually be the very real problem. Maybe it's not so much that the people in this community have a disdain or poor feelings about the LGBTQ individuals. It's more so that there's a relationship taking place that's across class boundaries. That maybe that's somewhat more taboo than the LGBT relationship in its place. I still think the LGBT relationship is still taboo, but there's also this additional taboo taking place, and I like how De Nyeko acknowledges that there. My only complaint is that it does seem like de Nyeko is afraid to speak plainly of this. I don't think she ever acknowledges that this is a lesbian relationship or anything like that. But also, you could argue that she doesn't really need to acknowledge that by leading people to the point and showing that these two young girls love each other, maybe the labels don't matter so much. Also, there could be some elements of, if you say like gay or lesbian, like that's gonna make your story forbidden in Uganda. But like the way she wrote it, it's already going to be forbidden in Uganda, so you might as well say it out loud. But I really don't feel like I need to police that or anything like that. I'll just say it's a very unusual element of how de Nyeko doesn't really, like, she seems to go out of her way to insinuate and maybe show a little plainly at times without actually saying it out loud. But again, that might be the circumstances of which the story exists. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Jambula Tree by Monica Arac de Nyeko. A pretty solid short story, probably one of the better ones that I read recently, and I'm probably going to be thinking about it for quite some time. I definitely recommend that you go out and read it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. If you're from Uganda, also feel free to comment if you somehow found my booktube channel. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and possibly join the Discord to let other people know about this author and this short story, or just comment or just comment in the Discord so we can continue the conversation there. But other than that, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and Jambula Tree travels. Farewell.